Welcome to the Placeholders podcast. I'm Abby Mickey, and I'm filling in for Kaylee Fretz, who is currently out on paternity leave. So massive congratulations to Kaylee and his wife, Meg. Really excited for them. And I've now taken control of the podcast. So we got a great show for everybody today. I've got with me an awesome cast of characters. Jonny Long.
Hello, this is giving December 2022 vibes when we also didn't have Kaylee. Foreshadowing.
It's true. It's like we're back. Iain Treloar.
Hello, how's it going?
And Kit Nicholson.
Hello.
We've got a great group today. I'm excited. I'm excited about this. We got some pretty awesome topics to talk about. Obviously, the biggest story of the week is the Jumbo Visma versus Bora Hansgrohe for Cian.
Cian?
Cian.
Cian?
Cian.
It's definitely...
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's
We could have looked this up before,
Irish
but...
Is this maybe something we should have spent 5 seconds Googling before the podcast? Where this is the mainstay of the entire episode where we're talking about one man.
Also, his first name is not the problem.
I think it's Cian.
I think his entire name's the problem, to be honest.
To make life much more easier for a lot of journalists and fans, here is the pronunciation of my name. Cian Uijtdebroeks. Hopefully this helps a bit.
Well, we'll refer to him as his first name throughout this episode, but we're going to talk about the turmoil with his contract. We've got a bit of small talk about the classics, a Jonny Long number, I believe, and then some news about some more Belgians being awarded awards in Belgium. So we'll get to all of that in this episode.
Welcome to the Placeholders Belgium Hour.
Let's start with the Cian story. Kit, do you want to give us a little bit of the rundown of what happened over the weekend?
The story kind of begins a few weeks ago when there was a non-story whereby there was a rumour. And both our friend Cian and Richard Plugger said, you know, it might happen someday, but we're not going to do anything now. And Cian said, yeah, I can see myself leaving the team at the end of my contract. Who knows where that'll be? Cut to this weekend, and Saturday rolls around, and Jumbo Visma, we're in mid-December, nothing really happens. Suddenly everyone's looking on Twitter and panicking slightly at having to do some work as Jumbo Visma announces that Cian Uijtdebroeks is their, nth team rider. And it seems completely legit. They didn't delete it straight away. Richard Plugger shared it. Cian Uijtdebroeks shared it. But then shortly after, Bora Hansgrohe, which is his team that he signed with until the end of next year, 2024, said, hang on, no. He is still and will be until the end of next year our rider. And then it was tumbleweed. And we all just, well, as some have pointed out, there was a lot of hand-wringing over the pursuant 48 hours. Yeah, that's kind of where we are. Uijtdebroeks and his agents also published a statement saying, no, this is happening. So it's kind of been 2-1 in favour of the transfer. But yeah, it's one of these stories that takes place over social media and it's all a bit confusing.
Tuesday morning, the UCI made a statement saying that they are monitoring the situation and they emphasize that the applicable rules will be enforced. So it's a whole lot of nothing that they said, but they're aware of the situation. They're keeping an eye on the situation. And I feel like given everything that happened between Jumbo and Soudal Quickstep when the merger thing was going on, and the UCI kind of had to be like, hold on a second, you can't just merge without our okay. The UCI is looking at Jumbo trying to pick up a rider mid-contract. Like, really? Again, you guys?
Mm-hmm. Was this statement before or after these latest allegations of bullying?
Feel like it's around exactly the same time.
So we shouldn't read into that as being good timing.
Yeah. No, it was, I think they both came out within an hour of each other.
And to be fair, the UCI has been workshopping that statement for the last 24 hours.
Yes.
Yeah. I've got like some deep-seated desire to one day release a statement saying I'm monitoring a situation just to find out what exactly it involves, you know. Is David Lepartien out there with a metal detector or a pair of binoculars? How does it work? Do you have any insight on this, Iain?
I imagine that they just check. They just do like a Google News search every 6 hours or so. They're just like, has anything happened? No? Okay.
My favorite statement with the entire chaotic mess was Intermarché Circus Bonti, who said,
What do they say?
Said the team is waiting to see how things unfold because we have no idea who Cian will ride for in 2024.
And then
that was their tweet.
Yeah, and then Froome posting a picture of the Israel Premier Tech doing a training camp around Girona, and that's where Cian has been doing some training in blank kit. It's probably worth noting, but he was on the back of this Israel Premier Tech train, and Froome's caption was something like, "Nice to have Cian join a team training ride."
Which, to be clear, he didn't need to post. Like, at that point, you're just stirring the shit.
Yeah, but this is Froome we're talking about, social media professional.
For sure, but why would you not stir the shit at this point? Because it's like totally chaotic.
Yeah, there are about
everything
6
is
emojis
chaos.
as well.
Froome is also an absolute glutton for like social media likes. Like he's always posting sort of like, it's like cantankerous stuff, like, or just like things that he knows will play. I feel like it's a late career sort of thing to just keep the fires burning slightly. Which, there are worse vices to have.
The evolution from Tour de France champion to Twitter troll.
Yeah.
And he didn't lean into he didn't, copy anybody else's nonsense. He didn't say Cian is signed with Israel Premier Tech. It was vaguely,
original,
maybe thought through or just original. It was
creative.
And the reality really is just that they found him on the roads around Girona.
He's also too young for Israel Premier Tech, so that wouldn't have.
Yes,
it's not believable.
He's preparing for his contract after Visma Lease bike.
Yeah, you've got to keep the relationship going.
Shall we touch on these bullying allegations that have come out the morning that we're recording? So they come courtesy of a Dutch journalist called Tej Zonneveld, who on a podcast detailed how apparently Cian was sort of bullied at the Vuelta by his teammates. And it goes into how it was because he was too much of a nerd and paid too much attention to like his time trial bike, and like he bought his own socks. And apparently they had like a WhatsApp group like where they would all sort of talk about him on it, which does all sound nasty. I think also it's worth realizing this is being released as the whole thing tries to get pushed in one direction or another, and like the reasons why this journalist might suddenly have come into the possession of these allegations. So not saying didn't happen. I don't want to see the group chat because I don't want to see like Nico Denz just writing really horrible stuff, or I shouldn't actually name a rider who was on the Vuelta.
I can't imagine.
But I've done it now. Probably wasn't Nico Denz. I think he's probably nice. But,
I think he seems like a pleasant chap.
Yeah, exactly. And Bora don't seem like a bully team.
No.
I don't know.
But what's interesting about that though is there are lots of things you can read into it, and one of them is that Bora is. And I think it follows what we've learned about them, or that we assume about them, is that they are this kind of slightly more chilled, laid back. They're not the Team Sky of 2014 when they were measuring almonds for snacks at team camps and buying their own socks that fit their legs perfectly and whatever it might be. Maybe Cian, just out of growing up at the time that he did through following the sport in those years, he knows that that's how, or he believes that that's how you make a bloody great bike rider. And so he is more fanatical about these things, his marginal gains. But also, I would say, one of the things that I've learned to like about him is that he is quite outspoken, and that's both in the timing that he comes out with something, but also the way he answers questions and what he says. It's not kind of, I'm sure he said, I'll take it day by day from time to time, but he does have some personality off the bike, and that does kind of buck the trend a little bit. And I'm sure there are great personalities throughout cycling, but as a sport looking from the outside in, it does seem to be more of that. They're professionals, they get on with it, they'd rather just ride their bikes than talk to people about it, whereas he is much more of that fully rounded human being that we all know from, all walks of life.
I feel like trying to be good at your job, especially in like the World Tour, wouldn't be something that would get you bullied. Maybe that's naivety, but I would have thought
maybe
trying to be good wouldn't. I don't know. Maybe I'm completely off, but it seems like that sort of way of thinking had gone. I don't know. It's not like Bora's like like that group isn't a bunch of like old grizzled veterans. Like the team they had at the Vuelta was like fairly young, didn't seem that old fashioned. I don't know.
And they also all want to, they were there to get a really good finish with Vlasov and they both, but Cian and Vlasov were in the top 10, were they not? Or yeah, so yeah, I don't know. I wonder if maybe he's too big of a character and that grated against them. And sometimes people don't like somebody to take the attention, which was a bit of a shame. But, you see it in actors all the time, musicians. People don't like them because it's easy to not like them because they're there all the time. A bit like Richard Plugger, I guess.
I feel like it's worth mentioning maybe why there is this push and pull about which team he's on and why Jumbo would want to sign him. He won the Tour de l'Avenir in 2022, so the U23 Tour de France, for lack of a better explanation. So he's an up and coming talent, only 20 years old. He's won the Belgian Junior Time Trial Championships and finished at the Vuelta this year. He finished 8th overall, 6th overall at the Tour de Romandie. So as a stage racer, he's an up and coming talent that a team like Jumbo-Visma, which is obviously like Pokemon, picking up all of the talent that they would be interested in signing him for a multi-year contract in terms of building the team in the future and developing him further as a GC rider with the hints of that he's shown already in his very short career. He's only been racing for 3 years.
In the Pokemon analogy, he's still in the first evolution, and he could evolve into something, a fire type, a Mewtwo. We don't know. As of yet, he is still a Bulbasaur.
Yeah. He's barely even made out of Pallet Town, really.
This is Greek to me.
God. Anyway, so as of right now, Tuesday, recording this episode, it's still unclear which team he's actually riding for. Bora has said in a statement that everyone who is currently contracted with the team will be required to attend training camp on December 11th, which is he there? We don't know.
Well, we're told that he's not.
I believe his parents are lawyers, which is maybe why he is under the impression that he can pull this stunt. But yeah, so it's still a bit up in the air, although I think Jonny has an update on his attendance at the Jumbo-Visma training camp.
Yeah, I mean, supposedly he's going to be rocking up there. It's sort of like, not to take this too far away from the topic of discussion, but in Premier League football transfer deadline day, there's like big chaos of who's going where, and you have like players being paparazzi following them, like taking photos outside like the ground when they arrive and maybe sign. And it feels like that could happen at the Jumbo-Visma one. You're going to have all the Dutch and Belgian journalists just in front of Cian Uijtdebroeks' car, just papping away. And then he's going to be there, full kit. Ralph Denk is somewhere, just his mustache quivering with rage. Like, it's a weird one because I always thought that I would do anything to be a Bora boy and that Jumbo-Visma would just completely sap my joie de vivre. Feels like too much hard work.
Depends on the personality, though.
Yeah.
If he's getting bullied for being too much attention to detail, then Jumbo might be exactly where he'll fit in.
How's Roglic going to fit in at Bora then? Because he's pretty meticulous, isn't he?
It's a moustache friend with Ralph Denk.
Yeah. Maybe it's over.
I know that Ralph Denk bonds over moustaches from experience.
Maybe Cian is unable to grow a moustache.
You bonded with him, didn't you, Ian? I remember.
I bonded with him over my moustache, and I don't know the state of Cian's facial hair. He is about a 20-year-old or something, so who knows?
He's got time. Because the thing is, like, with this, but the bullying allegations would seem to be a way that he can break the contract if it's like what's the term? If there's like a real, a serious reason why you're then allowed to terminate.
Mitigating circumstances.
Yeah, that sort of thing. But if it's not, and then it's just like ends up being another like, and he just leaves, and it's all like a legal thing. It's like, what? Like, contracts have to mean something. Otherwise, it's all like, do we just start turning up to work whenever we want and like deciding, no, Tuesday's not a real day anymore? Like, there are rules for a reason, right?
It can only happen, though, when a team is able to either put some legal weight at it or throw Bora €1 million. So,
which is also
not
nuts.
Every team could do it.
For a guy who's not won a race yet. And when they supposedly had that whole like crisis of not having any cash, and then suddenly they're like, yeah, we're just going to chuck a million at this.
Well, no, Bora has told them that they would have to fork up that much. I don't think they've responded to that.
Oh, okay.
I would say that Jumbo-Visma seems to be on a fundraising spree because they've just partnered with a soccer shirt resale website called Match Worn Shirt, where they're selling all of their bikes from the Tour de France. So if you so desire, you can buy, actually, I think Attila Volta's Cervelo R5 is sold.
How much do they sell it for?
Okay, so I'm just
Some
getting
Christmas
it up now.
shopping kit.
How many Attila Valter Cervellos?
Only one of those sold to
Is
someone in
Cian
Australia.
worth?
We've got
Oh, yeah.
Jonas Vingegaard's S5 with 4 days left is currently €15,000. Then we have some Wout van Aerts. Since I last looked at this page, Jonas Vingegaard's Cervelo R5 has leapfrogged over Wout van Aert's Cervelo R5 in the standings. So I'd say that I'm not
It'll
very
take a
good at
little while
maths.
to raise the funds for.
If I'm tallying it up, they're probably like a couple of €100,000
Goes
towards
quite a way.
towards a Cian Uijtdebroeks payout.
You guys might not remember this, but back in 2018, perhaps, or 19, there was a big kerfuffle over Lorena Wiebes leaving Park Hotel Valkenburg early to join DSM. And Park Hotel Valkenburg really wanted to hold on to her, so they made it quite a legal fight for DSM to be able to take her. But she did end up winning that situation and moving over to DSM early.
Yeah, I interviewed her while that was ongoing, and it was quite an unfortunate outcome to the interview because it meant nothing by the time that she moved teams. But anyway, whatever.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah, I'm curious how the UCI will actually, if the UCI will actually involve themselves, because of the last Jumbo-Visma chaotic internet frenzy. If they're just like, no, you guys can't do whatever you want.
It's also an unfortunate outcome, or an unfortunate follow-up to what seemed to be a fairly cordial exchange after the merger when Roglic went over to Bora. Seemed they were able to shake hands quite in a quite friendly manner. But now, obviously, moustache quivering and hand wringing, it's no longer happy.
It really adds another layer to the whole story that Roglic went from them to Bora.
I thought you were
Bora's like, the hell?
I thought you were about to say it adds another layer to this story that Ralph Ding has a moustache.
What?
Johnny, you've come up with a fun exercise for us to do
Homework.
mid-episode. You want to explain?
This isn't
It's an end of term game.
The thing is, this isn't even my idea. This is something that Ronan and Kaylee were talking about, and then Kaylee decided to have a baby and miss the episode, inconsiderate, and then Ronan also decided that he had better things to do. So now it's my cross to bear. It's sort of a very sort of late night radio phone in where you just get sort of sleep deprived truckers on to answer sort of a banal choice question. But the question is, for each of you, if you could save one out of Paris-Roubaix, the Tour of Flanders and Milan-San Remo, which one is it? Ian has his hand up.
Saving them from what?
Good question. Richard Plugger.
But what's he doing to them? Putting in a
This
load more
man
money
must
and
be
making them
stopped.
circuses.
He's dismantling them as you would a giant Lego structure and then melting them down for parts.
Wow. Okay.
Putting them up on match-worn
That
football
does change the
shirts.com.
question because
Just
what that
tearing
that's basically the question,
northeastern
what are they
France
worth?
apart with his hands.
Yeah, he's just ripping up tarmac on the Poggio.
Monster.
Wow.
Don't worry, the UCI is monitoring the situation.
Thank goodness. for that.
They're always monitoring Ian. That's why his phone doesn't load so quickly anymore.
Jesus. Just Plugger throwing the Stelvio into the sea.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, who wants to go first?
I'll
What
go
was the
first
question?
now that I understand what the stakes are. I am absolutely sacrificing Milan San Remo. I don't think
Nice.
it's even close. And I'm sure that there's going to be loads of people that are really angry at me and say that I don't understand cycling and that I don't have the stamina. But keep in mind that I'm coming at this from the perspective of somebody in Australia who has to stay awake until like 2 a.m., sometimes later. And I choose my sleep deprivation carefully. And a race that I am not sleep depriving myself for is one that doesn't even start until like 1 a.m. to be interesting.
Yeah, but which one will you save? You can only pick one.
Ooh.
Oh, I thought it was
You have to pick one
sacrificing one.
between Paris
Oh,
and Roubaix.
okay, Roubaix. I'm saving Roubaix. But I just
Johnny?
wanted to get a dig in at San Remo.
Yeah, you got it.
No, yeah,
It's been dug.
I feel like if San Remo wasn't first, then it wouldn't be held in as high regard. I feel like everyone's just excited for bike racing again. Like if you have San Remo in September, maybe I'll turn on the TV, maybe I'll just watch it on Twitter.
Got its apt name. It's the beginning of the spring, isn't it? It's just conveniently positioned at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's got the story. The story is the main thing, really.
Exactly.
It would be false advertising if it was called the first of the spring classics and it was in September. That's true.
That is the sort of stuff that Richard Plugger would pull, though.
Unless they shift the entire spring classic calendar into the autumn.
Oh my God, that's a whole different question.
Oh, and then it's just an Australian spring calendar, and then maybe Iain comes back around.
But Milan San was still in the spring of 2020.
You're right.
I'm just excited about the great race of autumn. The great first winter race, Tour Down Under.
Yes. I'm saving Roubaix too. I like Flanders, but like with Roubaix, it's just it's different to all the other ones. It's more of like a lottery boost or lottery machine situation where anything can happen. Like the forest stuff is like crazy when they have the big like helicopter zoom over. It's like its own little adventure. And the velodrome. There's just like so many different parts to it that are all novel. So,
Kit, what are you saving?
If you'd asked me first, I probably would have said Paris-Roubaix as well. Because I agree with the guys. It's kind of cinematic in a way, and it always get different characters popping up. Even if favourites are always there, but a few years ago we had Niels Pollitt up there, Florian Vermeersch emerging as a Spring Classics guy, that sort of thing. But I do really, really, really like Tour of Flanders, and when I think about the best results or the most storied results in recent years, the best stories have usually come out of, so there was a massive puncture that ruined Roubaix this year, but the better story was Tadej Pogačar lightning bolt up, whatever that climb's called, whose name I've forgotten. The one that he, it was like he had a Duracell bunny moment and he went zing up the climb and then overtook Mads Pedersen, and that was it. And then the year before, when almost as good a story in ridiculous terms was when he started his sprint. Well, he waited for the sprint and then lost, and then came fourth when he was duking it out with Van der Poel. Yeah, so some really good results, some great stories, and there are so many. You go over the climb so many times it feels like it's never going to end. It's just a bit of a bonkers race. So I would say Flanders.
Abby?
Yeah, this one's easy for me because there is no Milan San Remo for women. So as much as I absolutely love Paris-Roubaix and the sheer chaos, I do love a bit of tactics. And I think that because Flanders is a bit more traditional, straightforward race, that there's more tactical stuff going on in the race. And so, yeah, I'm with Kit on this one. I love Flanders. I would say Flanders for sure.
Can I just clarify that mine and Ian's distaste for Milan San Remo is also misogyny? That's why. We just forgot to mention it.
Okay, so second question. Do we need a women's Milan San Remo?
Oh.
No.
I mean,
I would exclaim a kind of no as well.
I mean, I feel like
we don't really need a men's Milan San Remo.
Yeah, I mean, we are on record saying that we don't want the men's one. So.
I feel like it's such an interesting one because it's the same weekend as Trofeo Alfredo Binda, which is an iconic race on the women's side, like a race that's been around for a really long time. So you'd have to take something away from that race to give them a Milan San Remo. And because there's never been interest from the organizers for there to be a women's race in the past, until I think just recently they kind of started to spread rumors that there might be one in 2025. Look, I don't like the men's Milan San Remo. It's like the most boring race ever.
Send the women over the Poggio and that other climb. I'm not doing well with climbing names. And then
if it was only like, say it was like 120K or something, like a normal length for a race. The length of it, I just feel like it's just not necessary for excitement. It's just not.
Yeah, I like your point that, just they don't need to have a race just because it's prestigious in the men's side. If they've got a bloody good race that's on the same weekend or that's even just at the same time of year, then maybe the men need a Trofeo Alfredo Binda.
Yeah, exactly. Trofeo Alfredo Binda is awesome. They're like quite close together. So you could have a back-to-back race situation. Like when I did Trofeo Alfredo Binda, I remember staying in the same hotel as Movistar, the men's team. But for me, it's not a race that I particularly enjoy.
How was staying in the same hotel as Movistar?
We didn't have much interaction with them, but I could see their bus from my bedroom window. The main takeaway from that was that the only thing that we were fed the whole 4 days that we were there was boiled chicken breasts and overcooked pasta. Yeah. And we were in Italy, so you'd think that the food would be I was so excited to go to Italy for the food, and then it was horrendous.
Chicken. Lovely. Glamorous. Yeah. And then the Movistar bus just ruining your view. So all in all, a cracking week.
Exactly. The award season continues for cyclists, and Lotte Kopecky was named the first ever cyclist to win Belgian Sportswoman of the Year.
Yes.
So that's cool.
That was cool. Considering that Remco Evenepoel won the men's one, and he's the 23rd cyclist, Belgian cyclist to win that award. The interesting thing as well with the awards is that they release the voting. I guess I don't know who. There's 1,000 or 2,000 votes here, so maybe it's everyone in Belgium, or maybe it's the journalists. I don't know. Evenepoel won with nearly double the amount of votes as everyone else, and he said the second place was a snooker player. Worldwide names the footballers Kevin De Bruyne or another guy called Romelu Lukaku finished way down, even if they haven't had good seasons. But it just shows this would never happen really in other countries, that you'd have no matter how talented the cyclists are, that they'd be so dominant. And it makes me a bit jealous maybe that I don't live in a country where all the cyclists are household names and they get big trophies. I don't know.
But don't you think that in 2012, Bradley Wiggins would have won something?
Well, he won the Sports Personality of the Year.
Very debunked, Johnny.
Yeah, but the thing is, to celebrate Bradley Wiggins...
And Dave Brailsford won Coach of the Year.
Yeah. But we had to, make a whole thing about how he was the mod man and, put loads of flags on him to make it acceptable to, a cyclist. Whereas, footballers can just be footballers. But Bradley Wiggins had to be this, caricature of a British Olympics man.
It definitely helped that there was the Olympics that year as well, in London. And him on his throne at Hampton Court. That was an iconic photo.
Looking back, maybe it was that era where things started to go wrong. Thought we'd briefly touch on the fact that this weekend, pretty sure, will be the last chance that people have to watch live racing, or indeed maybe anything on the GCN Plus platform, before Warner Brothers Discovery heartlessly kill it off and leave us all with...
Pull the plug out the wall.
Yeah, pull the plug out the wall and just walk away. So it's cyclocross this weekend? Is there a World Cup?
Yep.
Is it World Cup on?
Yep. Namur, I think.
Okay.
This weekend. And
that's a good one.
And there's a Super Prestige on Saturday. There's another one on Saturday as well. And we've got Van der Poel coming back a week early because he's bored, probably. But Van der Poel and Pidcock, I think, are racing this weekend. So it'll be a good finale, but it's kind of a bit sad.
Well, yeah, and it's
more than a bit sad.
Especially with, we're trying, specifically Joe Lindsay's chasing up the story now of what happens after the plug is pulled. We're desperately trying to get answers, and we'll keep trying. But if you live in America, Australia, there doesn't seem to necessarily be any clear answer of how you can sign up to the Eurosport coverage. And also all the documentaries that a lot of people love, hosted on the GCN Plus platform, there's not much info on where those are all going to live. So I guess if you've got some spare time and they are things that mean a lot to you, now is the time to watch them.
It's going to be a weird year next year without GCN.
Maybe I'm going to have to this is definitely very illegal, but maybe I'm going to have to get the race up on my phone and then stream them on Discord so that people can watch bike races. It could get to that level, but that definitely sounds illegal.
It doesn't sound, it doesn't
sound legal. I don't think they'll be able to find me though.
They'll never be able to find you. Johnny?
Oh, Weekly Pain.
Weekly Pain?
Weekly Pain. Have you been on the podcast since Weekly Pain got introduced, Abby? Probably not.
I have not. So I'm in for a treat.
And you're also exposing yourself as not a Placeholders listener.
Yeah, I'm Abby, I'll back you up. I don't listen to Placeholders even sometimes when I'm on it. Okay, so weekly brief catch-up speed. Weekly Pain was derived from Daily Pain. Was it daily? Did we call it Daily Pain at the tour, Ian? Where it's just
it was the Daily Pain at the tour.
Daily
Pain comes from going past bread shops all the time, where bread in France is spelt pain.
Pain.
So we'd just see signs that said pain, just screamed pain as we were driving down streets of villages.
Yeah.
So that was where Daily Pain came from. And then that merged into the Weekly Pain segment that you, Abby, know and love.
The other thing about the pain signs...
This is why Ronan's not here, by the way. He must have heard that Weekly Pain was coming back this week and decided to take a bike apart instead.
He's allergic to quizzing. The other thing about the pain signs is that they're often in capitals, which is why they feel shouty. It's not like some lovely French calligraphy. It's just like bold letters of pain.
In red neon.
Just running down the side of a building.
Yeah.
The height of the building. Pain.
The way this will work, this is like one of the ways we've done the questions before. I'll give you the question and then there are like multiple answers. So then we'll go round, we'll go Abby, Kit, Ian, and then you all have to give an answer. And then like when you don't have an answer, you're out. And then once 2 people are out and the final person left in has to give a correct answer, then they win. We still haven't figured out a prize. Maybe that'll be a 2024 plan for like some real jeopardy. But not today. Today's just for fun. You can also have a clue. I'll give you all a clue if you get in trouble, just to add a wrinkle. So
because it's Christmas.
Because it's Christmas, exactly, Kit. The question is, what I require answers to is winners of men's World Tour races in 2023. That is overall winners of stage races or winners of one-day races. Abby, you can lead us off.
Tadej Pogačar.
Nailed it. Kit Nicholson.
Oh, yes, me. Jonas Vingegaard.
Matthew Van Der Poel.
The nerves rise so fast.
Yeah. Everyone gets quiet.
Wout van Aert.
Double checking.
You have to check.
Just to be sure.
Surely.
He is not.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, he's not won an act. So, because it doesn't include stages.
Oh, sorry, he did. Wow, I imagine he won. Yes, he won the E3 Saxo Classic. Sorry, Abby. I stand corrected. You're back in. That was close, though. Kit.
Mads Pedersen.
Yes.
2 stages count.
No. Otherwise, we'd be here all day. It really would be Weekly Pain.
I'm just going to bomb out early, I think. Let's go Thomas Pidcock.
Could have gone for a clue, but you just went in for it, and
I forgot about the clue, didn't I?
He did though, yes. I always forget that he won that this year. I think I must have been doing...
me
I don't think I watched any of it. Oh, we didn't... Well, Escape didn't exist yet, so I didn't need to, did I?
Has anyone said Remco yet?
No.
Okay, Remco.
Love it.
Primož Roglič.
Indeed.
Sebastian Kuss.
Yes. Seppi.
Who won the Giro this year?
I've already said his
name.
name.
It was a Jumbo ride. Oh, he's already been said. Oh, Jasper Philipsen?
Yes. Cracking shout. Brugge de Panne.
I want to be out.
Abby, that is not the attitude that we need in Weekly Pain.
I want to be out.
Do you mean you're not having fun with the audio quiz where we will just take big long pauses in between our answers?
Oh, is it my turn?
Oh, yes, Kit.
Wait. Jay Vine, Tour Down Under.
Indeed. Oh.
Is that World Tour this year, though?
Yeah.
It wasn't last year because nobody could get there. But I think it... Oh, then Santos Tour Down Under.
Yeah.
Well, thanks heaps because you just took the last one that I knew I had.
Oh, sorry. But that's the game.
That is the game. Are we only allowed to use one person once, or can we use them for different iterations of races?
Oh, I think we're going to have to stick to one person one time. Sorry, Ian.
When you said different iterations of races...
Someone's already said Tadej Pogačar.
Oh, you want to use him for every race you want?
You want to use Lombardia Pogačar?
Yeah, I was about to use Lombardia Pogačar. Can I have a clue, please, Jonty?
Yes, of course. He wore a Grand Tour leaders jersey on the opening day of a Grand Tour this year.
What,
he took a first day Grand Tour leaders jersey. It's kind of a horrible clue, but you can't just give him out.
I think I am out. And I want to see what Abby does with that question.
Yeah. Abby's just jealous of you being out, I think. Abby looked like she'd powered down there. Her head just sort of...
Y'all know I cover women's cycling, right?
Do you?
Wait, what about Christophe Laporte?
What about Christophe Laporte? He won a bucket of World Tour races this year. Specifically, I think 2.
Okay, great. Okay, Christoph Laporte.
There we go. Kit. Now you do cover
Matthias
men's
Skjelmose.
cycling. Yes,
I
there
do.
we go.
Skjelmose won Tour de Suisse.
He did indeed.
Um,
I'm glad that Weekly Pain
Can
was
I have a
actually
hint?
painful. You can have a hint. Former active monument winner won this year, but it wasn't a monument. That's kind of cruel. That's a cruel. Should I change my clue? That's not very specific. Okay. His nickname is the Bull.
I'm going to go with. Did Ghana win any World Tour races? He's not the Bull. But I don't know
he's
who
not
you're
the
talking
Bull.
about. I'm out. That means
You're
Kit
out.
wins.
Well, Kit.
I have to answer a question,
Yeah.
probably.
You're going to go with the Bull?
Arnaud Delis.
Correct.
That's who you were going for.
Correct. Kit
Oh.
wins. You could have also had Valentin Madouas, who won Bretagne Classic. You could have had Adam Yates.
course.
Yatesy boy, Ian.
UAE
You could have had
Tour.
Marius
My man.
Meyerhofer, who won the Cadel Evans Great Ocean
Yeah, I was
Road
trying to
Race.
remember his. I was
I
trying to
forgot
remember
that
his
the-
name. I couldn't
I
remember
forgot
his
the
name.
Canada races are World Tour.
Well, that
Yeah,
wasn't Canada.
the Canada
but
ones.
that was Cadel
Yeah,
Evans, but the Canada ones too.
Dylan Van Baarle, Omloop, or put some respect on the Gree Tour of Guangxi winner Milan Vader. It was only 2 months ago.
Oh, Christ, that was so recent as well.
Yeah, I'm glad that Weekly Pain does often live up to its billing. It's nice to be accurate.
Yes. It was painful.
Yes, unbelievably.
All right. We're going to wrap up this episode. We've got one episode left for the year of 2023. Jonny Long is going to lead us in some holiday chaos. But before we close out the episode, I was revealed as not listening to the Placeholders podcast. But have any of you listened to the Wheel Talk podcast? And do you know how we usually end the episodes?
See you next week.
I didn't think so. Close out the episodes. I want to go around in a circle really quick and just name one thing that you've been obsessed with lately.
Oh, crikey.
Yeah.
What's the time
Like
frame?
if you're reading a really good book or if you like
Oh, I
you're into
see.
a really good TV show right now. Say you're obsessed with dogs, just in general, like you saw dogs outside and you were like, man, I love dogs. Like something that you're like, man, this is really boosting my mood at the moment. If you want, I can go first.
Yes, go first.
Currently, my husband and I are binging our way through Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and
Oh.
it remains one of the best TV shows ever made.
Nice.
I have family friends nearby who put a photograph of Angel from Buffy on the top of their tree at Christmas.
Love it. I love that.
What's yours, Kit?
Who's next?
I've been also watching things, as will not surprise anybody. Slow Horses is back, and I can't get enough of it.
What's
I
that?
still need to watch the second season.
Johnny!
Oh, it's so good.
I don't know.
Okay, you've got to get Apple TV Plus if you don't have
Okay.
it already, and binge watch. Well, if you don't have it already, then you've got 2.5 seasons, soon to be 3 full seasons of Slow Horses, which is the best spy drama comedy that I've ever seen. And I think I'd like to think that our listeners will trust me on saying that, because I am a bit of a cynic when it comes to film and TV and everything else. But it's got Gary Oldman,
And
Jack
life in
Lowden.
Just kidding.
It's a fantastic cast, great music, very funny. Gary Oldman rips a load of farts in the middle of each show.
I don't like that.
It's very, very good. Oh, come on.
No, it's really good. It's
I don't
really,
wanna-
really
it's
good.
just a little. Well, you don't smell them. It's not scratch and
kind of-
sniff TV. No, it's
kind of
Don't want to hate Gary
it's kind of
Oldman
dark,
farting.
but
Yeah.
but there's also like love interests and espionage.
it's about the outcasts of MI5.
Yeah,
They're
it's
up in Slough
very
House in the middle of nowhere, and it's this kind of rundown, and they're all a bit run down, and they're all a bit hapless and useless. Yet, of course, each series ends with them miraculously solving a case. And it's just they're trying to prove themselves, or at least the newcomer is trying to prove himself at his new office with his new boss who doesn't care, which is Gary Oldman. It's very, very, very good, very funny.
Forming bonds
Nice.
along the way with each other.
I'm going to go for a musical one, which will probably be a little surprise to Abby, seeing as we have a podcast where we are about to talk about this album. But there's a Scottish band called There Will Be Fireworks, and they have a new album called Summer Moon, which I've been listening to a lot. And I don't want to say whether I like it or not, because I need to reserve my judgment until I'm on a podcast in 2 nights' time with Abby to talk about it.
What's it called?
Summer Moon.
Oh no, the podcast.
It's called The Album Files.
Yeah.
Oh, the podcast, the album files.
Find it anywhere podcasts are streamed. And it is, Ian, Matt, Denise, and I. talking about music.
Seamless.
Jonny, obsessions?
I'm going to go for 2 quick ones. Firstly, Peep Show. I'm rewatching it after, I think Iain was watching it in the summer and I remembered that. And in the winter, I don't really want to watch new stuff often. I just prefer to watch like cozy things that I already half know what's going on. And the second thing is tax. I'm now an expert on UK tax, having spent the past 2 weeks doing mine and finding loads of receipts buried at the bottom of my desk. So yeah, my winter without any racing looks like Peep Show and doing my taxes. So if you needed some get up and go in your day to make you feel like your life is going well, there you go.
Oh, amazing. Well, thanks everyone for listening. We'll be back next week for another episode of the Placeholders podcast. If you're not a member of the Escape Collective, maybe think about joining. We have awesome content on the site. All of us, along with our talking, we write things, and you can find them on escapecollective.com. Check out our other podcasts. We've got Geek Warning, which is an awesome podcast about tech, and the Wheel Talk podcast is a women's cycling podcast. And we also have Performance Process, which is a members-only podcast that you get access to when you become a member of Escape Collective. And that's with Ronan McLaughlin. And his nerdery, he just basically gets to be himself for a while. And it's very entertaining. So check out all of the great content we have from Escape Collective. And thanks so much for listening.